Hey, today's one of those shop days. I'm trying to catch up around here. I have spent the last hour just putting stuff away. Yeah, I had the entire rear end of the Gator filled up, full of stuff that we'd received in the mail or I had purchased locally. So I thought it might be a good time to show you some of the projects that we've got upcoming. Let's get started. Let's start over here at a project that I've been thinking about for a long time. I finally got the parts. Not quite ready to do the job yet. I'll explain that when we get to the video. This is the new fender and cover that's used on the late 22 and early 23 1025Rs, 1023Es, I think. I'm not sure whether they use it on the 1023E or not. I had to get the new fender here because it's got an extra cutout. But the primary purpose of this upgrade is to get these 4 knockout plugs right there. Okay. I want to modify my Summit Hydraulics kit to use these plugs rather than this switch box here and these 2 rocker switches. Now I believe these same rocker switches will fit in those breakouts that I showed you. So I won't need this bracket at all. It'll just provide a little more space here. We'll be able to mount them right down there where they need to be. I'm pretty excited about this. We'll do this in a later episode, but right now you can get this kit at greenpartsstore.com/TTWT. Fender, the cover, the knockouts, everything you need. Okay, let's see what else we got over here. Yeah, we'll get to this thing in a minute. I'll talk to you about it. But in this box, you know, we had a lot of concern about the 3520 not having a loader. Well, Ken from Bolt On Hooks had replaced his loader brackets on his 3720. So he sent me his old ones. Now they're a little bit worn. He's had some problems, and apparently some other people have had problems, more so with the 300X loader or 300CX loader, of being just a little bit loose on these brackets. I think it's a little bit better on the 320Rs, but it's still probably a little bit loose. I've seen it on some of the H165 loaders as well. I don't know whether they've improved it too much, whether it's still a problem. I don't really notice it on my 3046R, but for this old tractor, well, 3600-hour tractor, these are going to be fine. So while Ken sent those loader brackets, he did not send the bolts. He reused those on his new brackets. So I need to find, the book said they're M16 by 50. So I have some of those in my bolt collection, but I only have 4 left. I think I've used a couple elsewhere. Got my bolt bends. I've told you about these before, and I really like this. Now, in this case, I didn't have enough of what I need to do the job, but that's okay. Once in a while, it's okay to have to go get more bolts, but it's nice to have a selection of every size. Even though we don't have that many, that solves a lot of problems. I haven't been able to show you that because most of the time when I need to get to these bolts, we're in a real hurry. We're doing something that, yeah, I'm really in a hurry about, and it's nice just to be able to say, yeah, there's bolts in there. It's something I've used a lot more than I thought I would. What do you think, Bo? So I'll get these put on here at some point soon. And when I get them put on, I'll be able to use the same loader for my 3046R on this 3520. That'll be interesting. I'm not sure why I would need to use the loader on this tractor. Maybe if it were raining and I wanted to do something, I suppose. But other than that, you know, I might as well use the 3046R for that. You've heard me complain about how tall the truck is. It's hard to get in the truck. Well, when I'm hooking up the gooseneck trailer, I need to get in from the front side to be able to reach the chains and to be able to attach it. Well, you can see this guy right here. He's on the step right there, getting into the back of the truck. It's exactly what I need to do for my gooseneck tie downs. So that's the bed step 2. There's one for each side. And then there's a bed step for the rear. And it can only be on the driver's side, or else I would have got 2 of those. You know, the trucks are too tall. So you have to spend another $1,000 to get a step so you can step up there. Rather than just making the truck short enough. Oh well, I'll not get going on that. Got a couple more things that I want to talk about the 3520, but I'll get to that in a few minutes. Let me show you this. Okay, I got a box full of paper here. If you order stuff from Discount Hydraulic Hose, this is how it comes. They have all these individual bags, okay, for what you order, with the part numbers, the quantities, the order number listed right on the bag. I've got a whole box full of, well, what is it? These are hose ends. Okay, I don't know if you can see very good. Well, I'll show you some that I've already got out. Look at this. That's right, I'm equipping myself to be able to make my own hoses. Don't even think about this unless you want to spend a lot of money. But my friends at DiscountHydraulicHose.com have been helping me with all the hoses I need, any length, any size. They have whatever I might need. But I decided I wanted to try to do it myself. I'm not encouraging you to tackle this. I really think it's more money than it's worth. In fact, I know a lot of farmers, and I don't know any farmers, mid-sized farmers and below, like my family at 2,500 acres or whatever. I don't know any farmer of that size who makes their own hoses. A lot of them have tried it in years past, and it's just nearly impossible to have the fittings that they need to be able to make that hose on demand. So most of them just have a local dealer, a local hose supplier that they go to, and I get it. Now, one thing I have found is that our local ag dealers here don't have a lot of hoses that are small enough for these tractors in stock. Now, you can order a hose, like let's say you have a particular loader hose to break. You can order that hose and have it next day, or they might even have that particular hose in stock. Where I run into problems is when I've got a bunch of accessories. You know, accessories like all this Summit stuff, if I were to break a hose on that, or let's say I'm doing some prototype work and I want to see if a little bit longer hose would work. That's a little more difficult because the specific sizes and thread types that I might need for these smaller hoses, my dealer or the other hose suppliers in the area might not have. Typically, they're used to working with larger hoses, you know, half-inch hose with half-inch fittings or larger. Some of this quarter-inch stuff and 3/8 stuff, they're just not as well stocked, at least in this area. So this tool does the hose crimping. I've not even crimped one yet. We'll show you at a later point how that we do this, but these are all the hose ends that I've got, again, with drawer after drawer of fittings. So I'm equipped to do 1/4 inch and 3/8 hose. I don't have any half-inch hose, just the 1/4 inch and 3/8, and I've got a bunch of hose ends for different sizes to match up with different fittings. And even with all that I had ordered in my first order, when I went to make my first hose, I didn't have what I needed. So this is a big investment to be able to have a good selection, to be able to make a hose on a whim, right? To be able to make a hose when you need it and have the appropriate fitting. So in addition to hose ends, you have to have adapters, fittings, you know, a bunch of stuff like this. And these are the dies, for example, that come with the kit. And you use different sets of these dies to crimp different hoses. The main reason I wanted this was I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn about how hoses are made. I really want to understand these different thread types. I want to understand what's most popular. I want to understand when you might choose to use a given thread type over another, or what a manufacturer uses. I've learned a lot of that stuff already, but I've got so much more to learn, and I felt like making my own hoses was the next step in that process. If you happen to be local to me, I can make you some hoses if you get in a pinch. I don't want to get into the business of shipping hoses to people. That's what discounthydraulichose.com is for. By the way, you can use code TTWT. You can get exactly what you need anytime from them. But if somebody's in a pinch and they're local to me, let me know, and we can try to get you hooked up. This stuff's expensive. Have I mentioned that? But still, Discount Hydraulic Hose is the cheapest, or one of the cheapest places I've found, and they are so easy to work with. They have a full selection. That's the place I go. Okay, back to the 3520. My neighbor Chris and I are going to try to get serious about fixing some of these issues over the next few weeks. We're going to start with the lid, right? This is the cab roof. We're going to start with this fiberglass crack right here. It goes all the way through. To me, this was one of the most serious issues because I was afraid it was going to leak into the tractor cab, so I wanted to make sure we get it fixed. Chris is expert on this. Well, I think there are a lot of experts. It must not be that difficult, but I don't know how to do it yet. So we're going to show you in a video together. Like I say, hopefully that comes soon. So I've got the lid off of Johnny here, taking his hat off. And I've had the air hose in there and blown that all out. The air conditioner was all plugged full. I've got that cleared out now. There was a lot of dust in there. I may have mentioned that the rear lights didn't work. Well, at least I thought they didn't work. After visiting with Ken from Bolt On Hooks, that guy knows everything. But anyway, after visiting with him, he explained that there's an extra switch in here. So there's 2 switches necessary. You have to have this switch on, but the regular light switch right here has to be on as well. You have both of those switches on, then the rear lights work. So I'm glad to have that fixed. Don't know if you can see it, but the handle here does not have a hole in it. I showed you the other day for my third function. I suspect someone had to replace that handle for some reason. I've ordered the new one, got it here from greenpartsstore.com with a hole in it. You can see the hole there. I'll get that put in soon. That shouldn't be difficult at all. No big deal on that. It's light outside now, but I want to show you my new lights. I've got 2 of them here. I turned them on, even though it's still daylight here. I think maybe I have them pointed upward a little bit too much toward the front of the shed instead of pointing downward. But I'll put a link in the description here, or maybe right here on the screen, to show how to get those. They were provided by a company named Cineton, I believe. I don't know exactly how to pronounce it. This is the third light. I put it out here on the shelter logic. I don't have it fully wired up yet. Got it mounted. I'll show you how I mounted it. Actually, I had my neighbor Rex over to help me. We hung a 2x10 up there and mounted it on top of it. That'll probably just be a good place for birds' nests, so we probably need to get some of those pokey things to keep birds' nests out of the way. But I also wanted to show you the lighting I have here. It's still kind of light in the day, but this is unbelievable. These are some LED lights I got locally here. I think I got them at Menards. Expensive. They're 8 foot long, but these 3 are enough to keep this building quite lit. And since the building is so long with the 3 of them stretched out like that, we really don't have much shadowing. It works really well. I put all of these on the same switch as the shed lights here. Yep, these 2 lights here, so that they're all switched together. And with that approach, I actually have them on a Wi-Fi switch as well, so I can turn them on and off from the house. If I forget, or if I want to go in after dark, I don't have to walk in on the dark. I can turn them on in the shed, walk in, or the other way around, right? So just having the remote switch on that particular set of lights, these outdoor lights, really makes it a lot nicer, and I think can save me, well, putting my shoes back on when I forget to turn the lights off. Yeah, I'm a bit all over the place in this particular episode, I understand. But back to the 3520, I've got some fenders here for both sides. Some people said they thought I could fix these fenders on the tractor. That seemed like a pretty big job to me to fill all this in. Now, you know, some of you guys are saying, well, that would be trivial, I'm sure. That's fine. Probably too much for me. Had a couple people that scared me a little bit in the comments when we were talking about some of the rust issues I had on this 3520. And they brought up an issue that I didn't know was even possible. And I suppose that's why I was a little bit scared, because it could be a major issue. The issue is where this steel mounts to the aluminum on the top of the axle housing there. Apparently, rust can take over that and can eventually corrode through all of it. Now there's a hole on the outside here that allows water and stuff down in there. That particular hole has been removed on the 3R tractors. At least what it looks like it has to me. So the risk is that that's all rusted out and that aluminum is just corroded and it begins to allow water down into the transaxle. So I thought, well, do I have that problem? Do I not? And the easiest way to tell is, do I have milky oil? And I do not have milky oil. So I may have some corrosion. It's entirely possible, but at least it hasn't totally broken through at this point. Or else, yeah, the oil was changed right before they sold the tractor and it hasn't been wet since. I don't really buy that because I would expect the tractor got washed thoroughly before the auction. And so I think water would have got back in there and we'd already have milky oil. Again, I've put, I don't know, 12 hours, 10 hours, something like that on this tractor since I've had it. Okay, I've got one other major repair to do here on the 3520. By the way, Chris, my neighbor, wants me to call this Rudolph. I get the Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer thing, but I'm not sure exactly how he came up with it. I think maybe he thought that I bought it for myself for Christmas. I'm not sure, but he thinks it ought to be called Rudolph. What do you think? It's hard for me to get out of the Johnny 3 type habit, but you know, I already have a Johnny 3. Maybe I should call it something different. But anyway, back to the important repair. This is it, right here. I never knew how these were done, but it is just a sticker. No, it's not just a sticker. It's a thick vinyl feeling logo. I'm sure that'll make it run a lot better. I do want to show you quickly how I've done the plumbing on my hydraulic top link from agristourusa.com. This might not be the perfect approach. I could potentially try putting this on the bottom, but I had to rotate this 180 to get this block, the check valve, put up here. Otherwise it'd hit right there. And I'm not sure it's perfect. The hose is almost hit here. So, but that's what I've got there. Maybe we should look at the 3R as well, because I just put one on there. Yeah, so for the 3R, the 3046R, we're using the standard third function. Well, it's an optional third function, but the Deere third function. And I have rotated the check valve down to the bottom side. Okay, and this one works pretty good. That's a pretty good fit there. I'm happy with that. I really do like the flexibility of being able to turn the cylinder upside down, being able to move the check valve from end to end, or even turn it sideways as necessary. It's that's what we've done here, right? You can see that it's on the side. Okay, that flexibility is important, and I really like it. So I'm using the same cylinder on all of my machines now. It's the 18 to 26 inch version. I originally had a 20 to 28 inch version on the 1025R. That's pretty much a direct match to the 3-point length on that tractor. But I've decided that I like it a little bit shorter so that I can pick that attachment up. Sometimes by tilting it up a little bit more toward the tractor, that effectively picks it up a little bit higher and gives you a way to get a little extra lift height. So I like that a lot, and that's what I've chosen. So this is agristourusa.com. Use code TTWT. I recommend getting the hose kit from them because the threads are different than normal, and because their hose kit just happens to be the right length. They have a choice between valve, they call it, and ball. By valve, they really mean poppet, okay? So it's just the way the ends are made. I would choose the valve version. Well, Bo and I are going to get going now. I don't know if I've covered everything I wanted to cover. None of these items I felt like were suitable for a full episode, but at the same time, I wanted to make sure I got some of this stuff communicated. And you are a nutcase. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this, and Bo and me are going to do something else now. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim and Bo. And even when I am old and gray, God, do not abandon me until I declare your strength to this generation, your power to all who are to come. Arrow never comes out. He's kind of stuck in the quiver, I guess. And Bullseye, well, he's outside. What are you doing, Bo? You were just wanting in the video. You jumped off as soon as I quit talking about the video. I get it.